When you were looking for a business podcast, you might not have thought that I'd be bringing a rabbi into the studio, but this may be one of the most important episodes I ever do, whether you're Jewish or not, so don't take that as a sign to put you off. But I want every person to listen to this episode. Joining me today is Rabbi Sandor Milun, who is Managing Director of the charity Gift, and his aim is to build a culture of giving. But before he became director of a charity, before he even became a rabbi, he was an accountant in the city for 4 years. He was then director of JEM in the States. Then he moved back to the UK and joined the JLE, where he worked for a number of years in the campus division, which he later became the director of. And now he is managing director at Gift. So I'm going to jump straight in. Thank you for joining me in the studio, Rabbi.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure.
Now, tell me in a nutshell, what is it that the Gift aim is?
The Gift aim is very simple. The Gift aim is to create a culture of giving, like you said, to encourage people to develop their attitudes and their behaviors towards giving so that they will become more outward focused and to, as we say, build the giving muscle.
So would you say that's education? Would you say it's training? What is it that creates this culture?
It's a very good question. For us, we believe it's education. We believe that actually going out there and showing people that, and by teaching them, sometimes in the classrooms, but a lot of time, the actual way of teaching is by doing and getting people feeling and experiencing the feeling of being a giver. We see it often, sadly, that in this generation especially, people are very inward focused and very me. And we're trying to develop a completely different outlook to look at where I can help and what I can do for people.
So in the context of Gift, I understand that means things like your packathons, your legendary packathons, where people will come every week, pack up the food donated, or either by individuals or by distributors and supermarkets, into packs which are then delivered round to other people, all anonymously, the people in need of support for food on the table. And that's a great context for individuals coming to the warehouse, to the packathons, for schools. I know you bring groups in.
Sure.
In the context of a business, of a leader, of companies, how can businesses get involved in building this culture?
Okay,
and I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, it's good. What I've done is we've created a Gift in the city, and that is something that we're looking to try and get into the city, get into the corporate world, because we believe that, and we've seen this change from 30, 40 years ago, very much now. There is a thinking and a culture of what is the purpose of, it's not just selling coffee and it's not just making money. All the big corporations are looking to develop some sort of corporate responsibility, social responsibility towards helping the world. They're making money and they should carry on making money, but in the same breath, developing a outward focus, as we call it, and looking in different ways to do it. So we are trying very hard to walk into that world. It's, we know what the last 4 months has looked like, so we've lost a bit of time there. But we are trying to get involved with different corporate structures, with different levels, management level, to show them our curriculum. We have a curriculum of teaching, of education, of understanding the basics of what a giver is, and we're looking to develop our programs within their structure. We've already worked in Clifford Chance. Ernst & Young did a program with us. So we're starting to develop and look into different places where we can really...
So those are some very big names you've mentioned, EY, Clifford Chance. For someone who is running a smaller business, maybe they only have a team of, I'm not sure, if someone has a team of, let's say, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, it's not on the level of Ernst & Young where they're investor backed and they can blow 100 grand on a scheme. How would you say that a smaller business can encourage the employees to use their time to give without compromising the business?
So what we've seen is, as we were discussing, there is a move to giving each employee at least 1 day a year. Some are giving 2 days a year to go out and do whatever they want. A few months ago, just at the turn of the year, in January, we had I wouldn't call it small, but relatively, as you said, smaller law firm. And from not in the city, from Finchley, and they came, 8 of them, and they came and they did a packathon. They got involved. They brought food to us. Part of their few hours was bringing food, collecting food, doing a packathon, learning a little bit more about what else we do, different volunteer opportunities, and it was a great experience for them, and they had a great time, and we had a great time being involved with them. So
I suppose there are more advantages than, it's not just charity, it's team building at the same time. I mean, the charity is obviously so important, but there's a lot of benefits that come out of it.
Of course. So we do a very special program called the Supermarket Challenge. Unfortunately, a lot of the families that we support are on less than £10 a week for food. It's very hard to think about it. A few cups of coffee in the city, and there you go, £10.
I think 2 cups of coffee in the city
probably
these days.
One shot in a club. So how would I know that? So what we do is a supermarket challenge. It's very simple. You get in groups of 3. They've got £10. We do try to keep it to 30 people, and they go and they've got 40 minutes to go buy a whole list of good foods, perishable, non-perishables, things like tuna, a can of tuna, pasta, all these different kinds of things, and then they get graded. They go back from Tesco, they go off to our warehouse, and we've got a marking system, and if they have to hit £10, it's got to be at 40 minutes, they can't come later, and there's a whole bunch of different ways, and we had one of the CEOs of quite a big company say to us, he said it was the best team building they did. They said, first of all, it didn't cost them thousands, it cost them £10 each. They brought they gave the money, and he said they learnt about different things. They learnt how to give. They learnt what people are going through, and they had such fun doing it, and a team building, and there was a lunch afterwards, and it was a really good experience for them. So that is something that we're trying to do a lot more. We do that with, we've had over 1,000 participants in 2019. And with schools, but now we're looking into the corporate world to do that downtown as well as in our branch.
So one problem that may be raised is people might say, oh, I would do this, but I'm worried it will look like I'm taking advantage, or I'm capitalizing on a charity for PR, because that's what they're worried critics might say. So what would you say to a business leader who has that fear that they'll be criticized as capitalizing on a charity, or of taking advantage of other people's situation for their own business purposes? If they do have that genuine will to help and that will to give and train their people to give, how can business leaders know that they'll avoid that criticism?
I think that's a great question. I think it starts with the top. It starts in management, and you've got to see what the manager's doing outside of his 2 hours allotted or 2 days allotted. Is the manager ever volunteering anywhere? Is he contributing to society in a way of charity? What's their values? And when you start to see their values and you see that they are genuine, then you can see that it's flowing downwards. It's going down towards their staff. And then I think, I've got no I don't believe it's such a problem that they might be seen to be capitalizing, because charities need corporation help. We do. We need the grants, and we need the manpower and the expertise. I'll give you an example. We've got a group of 3 or 4 accountants now, very good quality accountants, and they've given up 2 hours of their month to help us and help our families that come into a bit of tough times, to advise them, financial advice. That's invaluable.
To pay for professionals' time in that sense.
Exactly, and you got to be thousands. I'll give you another example. We created a brochure, and I have someone that's at one of the very good advertising firms in the city, and he's very high up. He's got a prestigious client as the biggest client that he maintains. He gave me one Sunday afternoon 5 hours. We sat from about 3 till 8, going through my brochure. He ripped it to pieces. But you know what? Over 100 changes, edits. But I could never pay him for that. And he gave me, never. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable what he gave me, the amount of probably £1,000 an hour. And here he's sitting with me, happy to, and then reverts, and then edits, and then email. And that's what we need. We need corporations involved. So I don't feel that they should ever feel that they take advantage and they get seen to it. We need their help. And
do you think they should be wearing it on their sleeves and putting it on their website? We support these charities.
Yes.
Or do you think they should be keeping it quiet?
No, I think they need to get involved, get their hands dirty.
But they could be getting involved and keeping it so only their team know. But then there's getting involved and saying, oh, look what we did. We went and helped gift. Look what we did. We went and our staff go to this charity. Is it something that we should be advertising? It could be, it couldn't be. I don't know. This is really your area of expertise.
I hear what you're asking. I feel that it's a very positive influence on, especially on the young people. The young people are now, and they are, as much as there's a inward focused, I need a me attitude, and sadly we saw it a little bit at the beginning of lockdown, people running after toilet paper and things like that. But it changed quickly, but I think young people, as much as they are me in terms of I need my job, it's me, I need to take care of myself, which we all should have some sort of self-preservation and care. I think there are people, the younger generation, are looking for guidance and for inspiration from our leaders about taking care of the world. We didn't have 15-year-old environmentalists 25, 30 years ago. That just didn't exist really. Now we've got people winning prizes and rightly so. They are standing up and saying, we need to take care of our world. We need to help the people that don't have food. We need to help ambulances, whatever it is. So there is this kind of shift, I believe, in their thinking, and corporations need to take a lead and show the world that it's not just money. We take care of people. We a lot of and put it on the website. Great, show us how much of your income went to charities. How much time out of all your time went. Great to see that on a bottom of a website, I think.
Yeah, no, well, as I say, it's your area of expertise, and I think that will help allay the fear of, should we publicize this, will it be taken the wrong way? Whereas what I think you're saying is that actually it can inspire more, and it can help contribute to the culture of giving, as we've spoken about a couple of times, which itself is very, very valuable.
Exactly.
Now, you've spoken about corporations, we've spoken about big companies, and we were talking about the time you might get from a CEO who can afford to give that time very easily. And if you were to come to me and say, Dror, can we have an hour to talk about marketing or business? I could give you an hour, I could give you 2 hours on the phone. It wouldn't cost me anything in that way. Now, when I was in the events industry, I saw it quite a lot. A lot of charities and schools and community organizations run events on a budget, and they'll often be turning to event suppliers who are often small, often starting out, often freelance, and themselves want to support the charities, but do also need to protect their own incomes. And also people who, as well as charities, which is maybe I should be asking these questions separately, but you've got charities and then people who want to have a wedding or a bar mitzvah, they want to have their simcha, their celebration, but they are on a budget. So for those freelancers, those people who have to look out for their own income, and there is their job, their violinists, their photographers, their videographers, their singers, their graphic designers, who are asked for help for charities, how do you advise that they manage the expectations of the charities when they do need to make some money as well?
Of course.
What in your mind is fair? What's the way to approach these things?
Very good. Sure. Good questions, Dror. That's a good question. I think, first of all, I think that everyone should be entitled to make a living, and a fair living, and good quality gets rewarded. I always believe you provide a service, you provide value, you get rewarded for that, and you should deservedly. So what we encourage, or we discuss, or people have approached us. We recently did a very fun event, and quite quickly pulled it together, and the people offered back their 10% of their tithe, their maaser, to us, which was a very kind gesture to say, listen, this is the cost, but I'll give you back my maaser, which really does.
Can I just interject and explain? Sure. Maaser, for those who wouldn't know, is a Jewish concept where one gives 10% of their earnings back to a charity. Did I say that right, Rabbi?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yes.
So someone could work for charity, you're saying, and then choose to give that 10%, which they would be giving anyway, back to the charity which is asked for support.
Exactly. So that's a really big help to the charity and helps them. They're charging a price. They're charging £2,000, but they're giving £200 back. So it's really £1,800, and it works for us. We get a £1,800. It's more in our budget, and they're getting £2,000, but 200 of it is not theirs, according to Jewish law. It goes, like you said, to the poor, or it would have gone to the Kohen, so the priest. So that goes, back to us, and they're happy, and we're happy. So that is a way for them to be encouraged, and also we give them a big up. We will give, if someone does a good event, and we put it on our social media. We try and encourage other people to use these people that are doing that kind of thing, that are outward focused and looking to help out the smaller charities or bigger charities.
I suppose it's a good balance when if someone is giving you a discount, if someone is supporting a charity, whether they are doing it for free, whether they have said, I'm really sorry, I can't do this for free because it's my business, but I can work with you on this. People do say exposure, and the word exposure, whether it's for photographers, for performers, we kind of laugh at it. But if you're going that little bit extra, it's a way that the charity can give back and say, we're not just going to tell you it's exposure. We are going to go out and promote, and and I suppose for each one has that's not going to replace someone's salary. That's not going to, but it's a little gesture, and the performers and the artists can do the same in return. And I see that nice balance of we will give you, you will give us, each one what they can do. And I think it's, as you said, that everyone needs to look out for themselves and have that self-preservation instinct, but then also having a giving instinct.
Exactly.
And finding their balance.
100%. So even on our last event, that was just a few weeks ago, the caterers, we have, a few people said we liked the food, and I've given them the number, and I know that they've already picked up one bar mitzvah from that. Same, with the events person as well as the photographer. So we are trying to help them because they try to help us, and they do something kind to us and help the smaller charities and just give charity, which is really helpful for us.
So I am coming back to the same question slightly, but for a freelancer, an artist who is approached and asked for something for free, and you said that they can say no. You say that they can say, listen, I can't do this, I need to charge. Often they'll feel uncomfortable. So what would you say to them so they don't feel so uncomfortable saying to a charity, I'm sorry, but I can't do this?
I try not to ask for freebies for good service. Just because you want them to provide the top quality, so you want them to, first of all, they need to earn, and they do. If it's your first cousin and you're doing an event and he's a brilliant photographer and he says, listen, I'll do it for this one, I'll do it for free. Okay, you've scored, kind of thing. But I don't believe, I never asked any of those, any of the photographer, the videographer, the production, the food, do it for free. I don't think that's the right attitude, even for a charity. Now, they know it's charity money, and they're trying to make their bit, and like I said, good service should be paid. I don't really. So if it's for free, if someone's doing it for free, that's really their suggestion. I've yet to ask someone, please, will you do it for free?
I think a lot of creatives and a lot of freelancers and small businesses will be appreciative to hear that, and it gives them back the power to turn to a charity, and if they want to do something for free, they can approach a charity directly and say, "You haven't asked me. I would like to give you this," and that's on their terms. If they have a free weekend and they've made the salary that they want to make and they want to give, and that comes down to their culture of giving rather than having to ask.
Exactly, and as I mentioned earlier, just the idea of someone that if they get nervous, like they don't want, you can't expect them to do it for free. But we had someone say to us, I'll give you a second photographer and it will be half the price, the second photographer instead of the full price. Those are really helpful.
The little bits.
Exactly, the little things that they can squeeze out for themselves. They know they're going to make a living, and then but even back to the guy that helped me with our brochure. He knew I was never going to ask him I was never going to offer him, can I pay you? He's a high-flying executive. He has a skill. He has a very good skill. And he wanted to give back. He gave back 5 hours of his Sunday, which was incredible. And like I said, multiple emails. I went to him and I said, would you be able to help me? Just advise me. I didn't expect 5 hours. I really didn't ask him for that. We sat for one, it became 2. He was loving it. We were going through
a few l'chaims and the brochures. Yeah.
Exactly. So, by Sammy's and another Sammy's. And,
I see.
But he helped. And that was an expertise that he gave for free. And he knew I would never, and I didn't even say, could I pay you something? It was silly to say that.
Right. So I want to ask one last question, as we do have to wrap up soon. Sure. For younger leaders, for leaders who are not yet leading people, but they have that leadership aspect in them, and people look to them, and they're early on in their careers. What can they do to affect change if they are in a big organization that they don't feel has the culture of giving yet? What can a young person do to bring it to their organization?
It's great. Love your questions, Dror. So we had that.
I think when people say they love my questions, it means, God, you're making me think now.
Yeah, you are making me think, which is good. It's a good. I think what we had that recently. We had a young lady. I wouldn't say that the company doesn't have a culture of giving, but she pushed them. She went to management level. She went to her manager. She suggested something. He kind of was a bit lukewarm to it. She went back to him and said, I'd like this to go up to another level. That's the protocol. He couldn't really argue with her. He heard it, and she sent it to the next level, and someone on that level thought it was a very good idea, and they got involved in a very nice way and very financially beneficial way for us. So I encourage people, don't take no for an answer. Go through the channels. Make sure that you're not being obviously chutzpahdik and rude and not listening to authority. But you're allowed to. You're allowed to suggest things that will better the world. And someone up there in the upper management saw that and said, let's run with it. So
I see a lot of the time that sometimes all it takes is consideration from someone with the authority to say yes.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people might not have the authority to say, it might be my department, but how can I go and blow money on charity rather than making money, which is my job for the business. But once it gets to a level where someone can say yes, it will get considered.
And they see that's in part of the strategy of the company and the ethos and the culture, and then exactly what happens. So don't take no for an answer.
If you were to be recommending one piece of advice, or maybe a book to read, or a podcast, or a video to watch or listen to, a podcast to listen to or a video to watch, if you were to recommend something about giving, whether it's advice or some way to learn, to all the people listening, what would be your advice?
So there's a book by a famous rabbi called Rav Dessler, and he wrote a number of essays, short essays about giving, about givers and takers especially, and he's very clear that there is no in-between. Every opportunity in a person's life is either a giving moment or you're a taking moment. There's no sitting on the fence in this. And there are a number of short essays. I would say those are great essays. They're in English. It's called Strive for Truth.
Strive for Truth by Rabbi Dessler.
Right. And that book has got, like I said, a number of essays about giving, about kindness, about charity, about love, about free choice and other good topics. But really, he deals extensively with the idea of givers and takers. And I think it's a great opportunity to delve into it a little bit and see it from a deeper mystical point even.
Rabbi Sands, thank you so much for joining me on the studio tonight, coming all the way out here. Will you just give us very quickly, if someone wants to get involved with Gift or they want to get their business involved in Gift, what's the website, what's the contact details?
Thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure. That's www.jgift.org. And they can get involved, info@jgift.org. And we have got a number of opportunities, volunteering. Those are the platforms to really work the giving muscle. Things for everyone. That's what we saw in lockdown. There were over 10 initiatives, different things for different people, cooking to driving to packing to all these different things that allow people to get involved and help other people.
And give and build that culture of giving.
Exactly.
Thank you once again. If you are listening on social media, do leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever else you may be listening and watching. You're also welcome to connect with me on Instagram @dror.w. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Send me an email. Wherever else you like to get in touch. I love hearing your feedback and your thoughts. So please do share them. Have a great night and keep making magic. And we're out.
That was cool.
That was fun.
Great, thank you. Can I ask you, James, can you take a photo for me, please?
Of course.
This is fun for me too.